Daniel, I'm going to switch over to you now, so you can tell us a little bit about the Colorado Queer Rural Health Network. There we go. Thanks.
Hello, everybody. So I'm going to be talking about the Colorado Queer Rural Youth Network. And so this is a newer network, and we are in the very beginning stages. So the work that I'm going to talk about is kind of the work on the staff side that we've envisioned, and then some of the things that we are hoping happen, or maybe we'll see if they happen. So next slide, please. So just like a real quick, our story. This is a grant that we received, and we had to write this at least twice. And so a little over about a year and a half ago, we had written this grant. My supervisor came to me and had just been wrapped hers up, but she was hearing from the people that she was working with in her grant that they wanted to do something around LGBTQ youth in rural spaces. And at the time, it was specifically in southwestern Colorado. And so she came out to me and knew that this was something I wanted to come back into. And me and another one of my coworkers, his name is Noah, who funny enough, was a young person that I worked with in Rainbow Alley. And so now he's my coworker. So it's really interesting to see the full circle of that relationship continuing to evolve. But she came to us and was like, hey, would you all be interested in writing this grant? And so we did. It was a good grant. However, it didn't like fulfill some of the aspects that they were looking for. So we were passed up, but we were highly encouraged to try again. And so we did. But this time we partnered with One Colorado, which is a organization here in Colorado that really does a lot of work around policy and kind of just overall queer work here in the state, mostly on that policy level. And so we were like, this would be a really great opportunity to partner with One Colorado and to really get more resources in if we were to get this. One Colorado was also a natural choice in that they also work with the GSAs across the entire state. And so we were able to get this grant, and we found out at the end of 2021. And so this year has been all about this so far. It's been a lot about recruiting. And what we have found really in our recruiting talk with our partners and with community is right now, community capacity is at an all-time high. And it's been really difficult to get communities to be able to take this on. So originally, when we were trying to do this the second time, we were like, we'll help you write it. We'll still be contractors on this. However, we think they want, the foundation wants to put this in community hands, which makes complete sense since communities know what they need. However, all of them are like, we don't have the capacity and we do not have kind of the groundwork for this. This is what you have and we want you to do that. So again, One Colorado is the natural space there. But what we've also seen is that, again, because of the capacities being so high, and because of everything that has come with the pandemic, young folks were a little kind of skeptical of joining yet another group, especially another group where we first kind of put it forward as like, oh, we're going to be doing things and accomplishing things. And I think they were kind of burnt out on that. And that is like direct, things we heard directly from the adult sponsor that we work with. They were like, yeah, they just keep telling us they want to hang out. Like they're just kind of tired of being like doing things all the time. And we were like, okay, well, this role is we've been highlighting, you know, the end goal, which is to like talk about community problems that they're seeing and want to address and these types of things. But really, one of the main roles of this is just to hang out and to like create this group of rural youth across Colorado who are queer. Hopefully, we can get a large number of young queer folks of color because they are often underrepresented, especially in rural spaces. And so like those were our goals. And we were like, this is a hangout space. And yes, there's going to be other goals, like, let's switch that up. And so we did. And as soon as we like switched up from, hey, we're going to be doing very specific things all the time, to like, part of how we get there is hanging out and having like this fun, getting to know each other and really building a network. And so if we can go over to the next slide, please. So talking about that, before I go into this, we have recently only had about 2 meetings, but part of that was us having them name what is a network. And so a lot of that for them was like, well, a network is like a support, and it is about like showing up authentically and all these things. I was like, okay, and that is really what we're trying to do here. And like all these other things will come, but they will also come more naturally once we have like that hangout time. So like if that is all you're needing here, especially at the beginning, let's use that time to really create that vulnerability and create that space for each other. And so that's kind of going over here to our programming goals. We wanted to create a space for connection, support, that safe and brave space. We want them to be able to disagree with each other on things, but also feel safe enough to just show up authentically as who they are. We are affirming their identities. And so with queer folks, this can mean a lot of different things, but one of the main things we have told them when they come is, if you're trying new names, names are incredibly important. Think of everybody here, I want you to think about your name real quick and what it means to you. Queer youth, especially those who are trans or gender expansive, are sometimes that name, that gift that was given to us by our parents doesn't suit us or doesn't serve us anymore as we get older. And so sometimes that gift, while it was nice, isn't the gift that we need as we get older. And so I'm like, if you're gonna gift yourself a name or try on a different pronouns or anything like that, please use this space as that. If you come in next week as he and you came in as she this week, that's cool. Nobody here is going to question you. Same thing with the name. And the amount of change that we have seen immediately, we saw people changing their names in the chat, and we saw like so much like immediately with no questions. And even in the 2 meetings, what we have seen is amazing in that each of those meetings, at least 1 or 2 young folks has come forward with like, I am so happy. Recently, I got a diagnosis of like autism, and they're just like, I'm so happy I finally got this, and like they feel this like relief. And it's just like nobody questions these things, and it's just, even in the 2 meetings we've had, what we have seen is like people just wanting to have this. And so, and I bring those things up in particular because we are going to be exploring intersections between race, class, gender, ability, and sexuality, and many more things as they come up. And we are already starting to do that and normalize it in ways that we hope can carry on with the young folks even outside of the space. And we are co-creating a vision and organizing and collective action to produce more inclusive spaces that promote belonging and healing for queer youth across the state. And what does that mean? Well, right now we are creating that space in this network. And we're hoping that this network can be self-sustaining at the end of 2 years. If not, we're going to try to figure out at that time, hey, do you want us to like help you reapply? What are the things you need in order to continue having this in your lives? We've already had youth stay after to be like, there's nothing like this in our town or in our school, and it's so important. And the reason we wanted to create a network that really incorporated the entire state, and specifically in rural spaces, was queer identities are vast. So I'm just going to give you an example. You could be a non-binary person who identifies as gay and kind of dresses in more masculine ways, right? If that does not exist, if somebody else does not exist in similar ways, you are very much an island, even if there are other queer folks. You just are kind of like on your own. And our hope is that through this network, if some people have some of these some of these identities where maybe they feel like they're the only person in their community, they're able to at least connect with somebody with similar identities across the state and able to really like have have a relationship built in order to like feel a little bit more immersed and feel a little bit closer. And then lastly, we wanted to connect youth to queer adults. We don't know what we can be unless we see it. And so for these queer young folks who are living in rural areas, a lot of the times they don't know very many queer adults or any at all, or they only see what they see kind of in media. And that's not always a realistic view of what it means, especially for people who are living what feels like a different world sometimes. And so we're just trying to connect them and be like, hey, like, look, you can also be a social worker, or you can also be, and like just showing like we are in a bunch of different roles and we show up in a bunch of different ways. We don't only show up in the very specific ways that you see on TV or on um, Instagram and stuff like that. So like this is also to connect them to the queer adults that a lot of times they are sorely missing in their lives. And so again, this is just to give them that picture. And so at this point, we are creating a name, we're creating our mission and vision together, and just kind of how are we moving forward in this space that is very much theirs and is being helped guided in the ways that this grant was written by the adults. But really, this is about youth-adult partnership. It is about moving together. And to make this equitable, we're meeting on Zoom. We're meeting on Zoom. We again are trying to make sure that we are hitting or trying to like ask people if they know of any queer young people of color who are interested in this so that they can join. And we are continuously adapting to what we need. And that comes as it comes, but we have enough funding for 30 youth because we pay them for each time they come. We also know that oftentimes what stops young people from being able to do these types of things is that sometimes they have a job, sometimes they have something else. So we financially will also be kind of reimbursing them for the time that they spend on this project as well. So all of those things are kind of where we are at the beginning. And I'll wrap up with that. Thank you.